All right. Hello. Today for nutrition, we're going to talk about some nutrition powerhouse foods. So these are all foods that I have recently really started pushing into my just like daily food habits. And I found that they're relatively easy to incorporate and easy to get my hands on. So what are we talking about with this? Last week, we mentioned macronutrients, like proteins, fats, and carbs, and total calories, and how that is so tricky to navigate. But we can also look at a smaller level at micronutrients. And so here we're looking at vitamins and minerals and different natural compounds that are found in plants. The vitamins and minerals can be found also in animal products. So this is when we're really getting to the root of food as wellness instead of just preventing disease. So we're really looking at not just getting what we need for our body to continue to function, but getting what we need for our body to thrive. So here we're thinking about glowing skin, positive mood, lower anxiety, ability to handle stress and kind of just roll with it, a happy, settled digestive system, and having really nice, sustained, long energy from waking up in the morning without an alarm clock all the way through till bedtime. So the first one of these powerhouse plants that's really easy to incorporate is garlic. You can buy it at the store in a whole head of garlic, and you just kind of pull apart the different cloves to use, and you can chop them or smash them. But even easier, you can buy in a little glass jar pre-minced or pre-chopped garlic. It's raw and it's in some sort of olive oil, and you can just kind of take a scoop of it and throw it into whatever you're cooking. I will throw it into anything and everything savory. So morning scrambled eggs, or if I'm making a soup, if I'm making pasta. Today I made pizza and I just sauteed. You can eat garlic raw, but it is very intense and a little bitter. It mellows out if you cook it. So I just sauteed some garlic on the stove, and then I literally sprinkled garlic on my pizza. It has amazing health benefits. So pretty much, actually not pretty much, every superfood that I'm going to mention in today's video has been used medicinally since ancient times. And so garlic is one of these. It has been shown to help prevent diabetes, cancer, and high blood pressure, as well as a number of different heart-related diseases. And it's an antioxidant, so it releases oxidative stress and reduces it. Also helps a lot with inflammation in the body. The one limitation of garlic is it really quickly gets used up in the body, so it doesn't have really sustained benefits. You have to continue to eat it all the time. My personal opinion on that is, even if I'm still getting part of the benefit, it's a relatively cheap food to access, relatively easy for me to get my hands on. It lasts in the fridge for a really long time. So for me, it's worth it to keep throwing it in all my foods just because it's really easy and it can pack a punch. It's also really easy to grow. So for the first time I'm growing garlic now, you actually are supposed to plant it in the winter. So it should be planted, end of January, early February, at least in the Chicagoland area. And just a couple weeks ago, I was late, but I threw some garlic in the garden out back. And you just take a clove, you peel it off, and then you plant it in the earth, and it will grow little roots, and it's working. They're growing. I've been checking. And then that one clove. So I took one whole kind of bulb of garlic and I picked it apart into 6 cloves, and I cooked the rest. But the 6 cloves, I planted each one separately, and each one of those cloves will grow to be its own bulb. So it really is going to multiply a lot and make it worth it to grow. It also, in theory, I have yet to test this out myself, will this summer, keeps pests away. It's so fragrant that if you put it by your tomatoes, I might try putting it by my strawberries, and hopefully keep the pests away, because the birds and the bunnies have been eating my strawberries. Ginger's another really good one. So ginger is a root, a ton of health benefits. So it increases peristalsis, which is the movement of food through the digestive system. So it actually like physically increases the speed of digestion, thereby reducing gas, reducing kind of fermentation in the gut. It can also help with nausea from not just like food being in the gut, but nausea from pregnancy or chemo. And then it's an antioxidant. It fights those free radicals from like the chemicals in our environment and from the sun, any radiation. And there's like ongoing research for all of the benefits of ginger and looking into really proving concretely its anti-inflammatory properties. Ginger is also super versatile. You can have it as tea, and so you can buy ginger tea already dried. But what I've found to be, I think maybe cheaper, I haven't actually done the math, is if you buy the fresh root in the produce section of the grocery store, you can chop it up, give it, if you're not buying organic ginger, make sure you're washing it. But if it is organic and or if you wash it, you don't even have to take the outer layer off. You don't have to take the skin off. You can just chop it into pieces, toss it in a pot, top that pot up with water, and then just let it boil. And the longer you let it go, the stronger it'll become. And it actually can get quite spicy. So you can drink that as a tea, or I've even then taken that water and made noodles. And I was making noodles with a peanut sauce. So I made the noodles, drained the noodles, had my noodles. And before I put in the rest of the peanut sauce, I actually put in ginger tea. So that's one option for getting that ginger in. It's also really, really delicious just as a cup of tea, and maybe add a little bit of honey. Really, really good. But you also can chop up the actual root and put the root into foods. And then one thing I've recently started doing is just throwing it into smoothies. So I'm a big fan of taking any frozen fruit, a water and a protein powder and putting it in a single serving blender. And then I'm getting my 20 grams of plant-based protein. I'm getting the antioxidants and the vitamins from the fruit. And it's also hydration. So I've recently started throwing some ginger in there too. So for this, I do peel the ginger. I take the skin off and then put it in just small chunks. It doesn't have to be finely chopped. The blender takes pretty good care of it. And it gives a slight taste enhancement, but really you can't tell it's in there. I think it's actually super tasty to put the ginger with peach. I've done frozen peach with my vanilla protein powder, and the ginger in that was like a fantastic upgrade. You also can buy dried ginger, and you can just put that powder over anything. And I'll bring up ginger, another example of golden milk in the next slide. The one thing is ginger is safe at normal food doses. So if you have a cup of ginger tea, totally fine. You don't have to consult your doctor for a cup of ginger tea. But if you start having ginger every single day, or if you're going at medicinal doses, so if you're actually taking chunks of fresh ginger and throwing them in your smoothie every morning, or if you're having boiled ginger tea every single day, just consult your doctor. It can't hurt to consult your doctor. And there's research that suggests there could be interactions with ginger affecting insulin levels and also drug interactions with anticoagulants. It's just a thing to keep in mind. And turmeric is the same family as ginger. It's also a root. It's a deep, deep yellow golden color. And it has a whole host of health benefits as well. It was also used in ancient medicine. It's very popular in Ayurveda and holistic medicine. So research has suggested, and they're still building this body of research, but there is research to suggest it can help with anything from anxiety to depression to dementia. It can help with exercise-related muscle soreness, which is something I never would have expected. And Haven't really gotten the chance to test out personally that part yet. It can help with arthritis pain and inflammation and even degenerative eye diseases. It's also an antioxidant, so it neutralizes free radicals in your body. Ways to consume, this is pretty similar to ginger. So you can get the dried powder. It almost looks orange. It really stands out at the grocery store. You can get that fresh root. It's usually in the grocery store in the produce right next to the fresh ginger root. And you can also have turmeric tea. Another thing you can do with it is make golden milk or golden turmeric milk or turmeric milk, where it's any plant-based milk, or really, I guess, any milk. It needs to have a fat component to it. So if you're using milk, make sure it's not skim. Coconut milk is a classic one for this because coconut oil is big in Ayurveda as well, but having that fat component of the coconut milk, or you can use a low-fat milk and put some coconut oil in here as well, and use a frother or an emulsion blender to get that oil really well incorporated. But all that to say, the fat helps with absorption. So some sort of milk with a fat, turmeric, a sweetener of some sort. For this, I really like honey or agave. You could also try maple syrup or even just regular sugar, whatever your sweetener of choice is. And then one thing with turmeric is to help in the absorption. So the most powerful active compound in turmeric is curcumin. And in order for it to be best used in most, like we call it bioactivity, like the ability of the body to use that chemical compound, we need black pepper. So black pepper helps absorb that compound and helps get these benefits. So in our golden milk, we actually put just like a little, just quick dash of black pepper, which you don't really taste, but is important to have in there for the benefits. And then you can add all these like warm and cozy spices. So turmeric itself is already really earthy and this warming spice. And then you can add ginger. I always add ginger powder. I make my golden milk with the powders. So I'll put in the turmeric powder, put in the ginger powder, little sprinkle of black pepper. And then I add in a ton of cinnamon, which is another superfood we just didn't get to in today's slides. I'll also add sometimes some nutmeg. You really can get a little creative with it. I've even added cayenne pepper in the past. That's a big metabolism booster, and can help clear the skin up and a lot of other things as well. So big fan of golden milk, worth a try if it's something you've never had before. Considerations with turmeric is research shows potential interactions again with anticoagulants and immunosuppressants. So again, this is when we're having turmeric at high doses daily, this like using turmeric as medicine, food as medicine. But as always, if you want to incorporate turmeric into your diet, it can't hurt to consult your doctor and just run it by them quickly. And then a note that's not quite as important as the medical considerations, turmeric can stain things. So when you're working with it, your hands haven't really gotten stained, but the countertop might stain. If the sink is ceramic and not stainless steel, it might stain. The brush you're cleaning things with will definitely stain. It might just seem like it's everywhere when it's happening, but I've never had a permanent stain. I've had yellow in my kitchen everywhere at times, but if I were to go down there now, I haven't cooked with turmeric in a while, there's no yellow anywhere. So something to keep in mind, but not a big deal. And the last one we'll go over today is mint. So mint is this huge family. There's so many different kinds of mint. There's even one called chocolate mint, which reminds me, this is not the last slide. I added one last bonus of chocolate, which is next, but mint, huge family, and they all have more or less the same benefits. It's antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory. It can help prevent diabetes, heart disease, and even obesity. And it can prevent cancer by slowing down the invasion of cancer cells and cancer cells kind of like tendency to spread. It's also an antioxidant, reducing free radicals and that oxidation. Mint is super safe. There are very few health considerations, safety considerations. You can make tea from it. You can chew on the leaves. You can add it to foods. You can add it to shakes, or even just throw some in your water, shake it up if it's in a water bottle. There's so many different ways we can use mint. It's really fresh. It's really great addition to so many different things. We also can use mint in essential oils, making sure you're sourcing them well so you know it's real and just the essential oil of the mint and preferably organic without any fillers. But you can use those topically as antimicrobial. It actually helps kill any germs. And it has, other benefits as well as a topical kind of thing that you can put on your skin. Now, this is the last one for today: cacao, cocoa, chocolate. So when we're talking about cacao and chocolate, we're not talking about a Hershey's bar. We're talking about cacao. So this is the cacao plant. This is what it looks like when it's on the branch. So these are cacao trees. This is what one of those pods looks like, cut up and opened. Not the most appealing looking beans there, or pods. They're kind of covered in this white film, and you can eat them raw. So I was in Peru, and there was a cacao plant and a cacao, like a whole company really. And they got one of the pods, they cut it open, and just like that, we were able to take our fingers and just grab one of those cacao beans, or seeds, and pop it in your mouth. And it didn't taste anything like chocolate. If you've had cacao nibs, it kind of sort of tasted like a cacao nib, but you could tell the process of taking this and turning it into cacao involves fermentation and drying and a lot. But so that's the cacao. That's what we're talking about. Dark chocolate of like 65, 70% and higher, you can still get the benefits. But the considerations are that if you're getting the benefits from chocolate, even if it's dark chocolate, a lot of times those have fillers. They can have, kind of chemicals, things that aren't all natural. They also have a lot of sugar, milk. And so all of that can add up for it to be not great for you. But if you're having just the cacao, so if you get cocoa powder in a bag, or if you get cocoa nibs, so many health benefits. It's anti-inflammatory. It boosts the immune system. It gives you natural energy without a crash. So in my 7 years of being a teacher, had a very interesting relationship with coffee, where some years I would have 2 cups in the morning. There were some years where I was having 2 cups in the morning. I would have 2 cups of coffee before 8 a.m. And then I would have another 2 to 3 cups throughout the day. So I'm having about 5 cups of coffee a day. And as of today, I haven't had coffee for 3.5 or 4 weeks now. Instead, I've had a daily, or sometimes multiple times a day, cup of cacao. So it's actually just like, I feel like I'm drinking a cup of hot chocolate with my breakfast. And I feel like my inner child, this is like her dream come true. But if you buy unsweetened cacao, it just has the health benefits. It's super rich in minerals too. And then I add just hot water, a little bit of plant-based milk. I like to add cinnamon, also health benefits, also just tastes good. And then I prefer adding honey. You can also add agave, or any sweetener of your choice. And then I use a emulsion blender or a frother, where it's just kind of like the little wand or stick, and you push the button and then it's done. It's super easy. It tastes great. And if you remember back to our adaptogens and all of those mushroom coffee alternatives, I also am playing around with throwing those into the cacao. The cacao masks any mushroom flavor, and the mushrooms and the cacao benefits really work together beautifully. The cacao does give you that natural energy on its own, without the crash, because it has a very small amount of caffeine, but it has another compound as well that causes natural energy and works in tandem with the caffeine to cause the energy without the crash. Cacao can help mood. It also can help our brain functioning and our feelings of like staying full. It also can help reduce the risk of diabetes. And like all the other superfoods today, it is a powerful antioxidant, reducing oxidative stress in the body. But again, just remembering it's not chocolate, the milk and the sugar and the additives are not healthy, but the cacao itself, when we're looking at this, the cacao beans, the cacao plant, and then here are two examples. This is not a specific brand, really. It's the one I have right now, but it's the first time I've used it. I've been using other brands as well. So this is what I have is the powder. It's unsweetened. You want to make sure it says 100% cacao. It could be cocoa, COCOA instead of CACAO. But the cacao, rather than cocoa, cacao is more raw. So it's just processed less. So that's what I prefer. Make sure it does say it's 100%. We don't want fillers. We don't want sugar or any kind of dried milk in there. Here's another option is cacao nibs on the right. And so these are those roasted beans, just kind of like mashed into pieces. And so they have a texture to them. And these are great if you want to add them to granola. You can add it as a topping on cereal or on a baked good. I love rice cakes and peanut butter, so some cacao nibs on top of that. You can put them on top of a smoothie. They're kind of a beautiful garnish that also pack that nutritional punch. Just like if you were to add chia seeds, another great superfood.